As most of you probably already know, Blizzard released the first big patch for Diablo 4 today, and it was arguably one of the most important patches in their history. You have this massive player base that is starting to burn out on their game already because of the horrible endgame grind, the fact that half the abilities don't feel good to use or don't have the numbers to back them up, or even things like the multiple quality of life issues, the gem tab, for example, or even the DDoS attacks, stuff like that. Blizzard needed this patch to stop the bleeding and try to hold our attention longer and hopefully carry that momentum into Season 1. Did they actually pull it off with this patch? Maybe. I think this was definitely a quality of life and bug fix type patch. And they also decided to kind of do some safe buffing of underutilized skills. No major overhauls to any skills or anything like that, just nudging stuff up a bit here and there, which is, I mean, it would have been nice to have some of the really shitty things really put on display here and maybe fixed, but I assure you that their Season 1 patch is going to be doing a lot of things like that. They want you to come into Season 1 and be like, oh my god, there's all these new ways to play my character. So I'm sure that's what they're saving the big ones for, and maybe to test it further, but some of them are so bad it should have been done a long time ago. Anyway, so we'll start with the good stuff. There's a huge amount of fixes that were implemented, including a fix to the Necromancer's Blight, blocking out their whole screen, and a variety of bugged quests. And of course, things like stability and performance improvements were added as well, which is, always typical for these kinds of patches. The big stuff is down in gameplay adjustments. So, significantly increase the experience awarded for completing Nightmare Dungeons. Okay. Significantly increase the experience gained from killing monsters in Nightmare Dungeons. Okay. And that pairs beautifully with players can now teleport to their Nightmare Dungeon directly through the map. Nightmare Dungeons are now the go-to way of leveling at the high end of things, level 70 plus for sure. Hell Tides will still be excellent, and now the chests, when you open them, they give you a bunch of extra bonus experience. Not sure on the exact number, but the Nightmare Dungeons are reportedly giving you about 40 to 60% more experience than before. That's a lot, and now that you can get to them by teleporting to them directly, you can basically just start blowing through them, and you don't need to pick and choose and be like, oh, I'm not running out to Dark Ravine. No one wants to run to Dark Ravine, so yeah, huge buff to the Nightmare Dungeons, which was needed, and I'm so glad that they actually managed to put it in this patch. Everyone was asking for this teleport thing. We weren't sure we're going to get it, but yeah, we got it right now. We didn't have to wait for Season 1, so go Blizzard. So we've got the buffed Nightmare Dungeons. Great, fantastic, and Hell Tides are still extremely viable to do. And whenever it's up, you should be doing some. The chests are going to give you a lot more experience. It was already pretty good as it was, but now they're even better. Significantly increased rewarded experience from completing individual whispers across the board. Another great change. Some people really like the whispers quests. They're simple to do, easy to find. You do some, you turn them in, you get to pick a chest that's targeting your weakest item, and now you can get more experience from doing them. So these 4 lines of text here basically solidify that when you're in the end game, you can kind of level how you want, whether it be Nightmare Dungeons, Hell Tides, or even Whispers. You don't feel too bad about what you're doing. Questing is still absolutely useless, but you now have 3 viable methods of kind of doing your own thing, plus just doing regular dungeons if you want as well. But great changes here. This will make the pain of going from basically the game ending at level 75, so going from 75 to 100 isn't so painful anymore. Another thing to note here, fixed an issue where no experience was awarded for completing the holdout style event that can occur after finishing dungeon objectives. So what that means, I believe, is, when you finish the first part of a dungeon and then you go through the door that you unlocked and then a whole bunch of dudes will jump out. Sometimes you're fighting like 10 even elites at a time. Like they have these really cool big fights. The mob density is what every dungeon should be, but that's a whole nother story. You wouldn't get any experience from that stuff, but now apparently you will. They called it an issue, where it seems like a pretty big issue. But anyway, so you should get experience for even that section of the dungeon, which is great as well. Also noting here, the Helltide roaming bosses will now consistently drop higher quality loot. So that really annoying level 72 elite? He's not really much fun to kill, and then you kill him and he drops like hardly anything. Yeah, I guess he's going to drop more now, higher quality loot. that's good. That's what he should be. I mean, the event's rare to find, then you have to find him, and you have to spend the time to kill him. He should definitely drop something of value. You should feel good about doing all that and killing him. So, great change there as well. Adding on to that, weekly bonus, basically your rewards from the weekly bonus from killing world bosses don't have a level requirement anymore. I mean, it's a nice quality of life change, but nothing game breaking. Good note here, we are currently working on increasing the monster and elite density of endgame content and plan to introduce this change early in Season 1. This would have been great. Like, this patch would have been incredible if this had made it right here, right now, you know? But I get it. I think that they're going to have to rebalance maybe the experience, the way experience is calculated in general. If they significantly increase all the experience and then significantly increase all the monsters, there would be no challenge to get to level 100. So obviously they need to work on this, and I feel like they're going to have a vastly different system that they come out with on the other side of this change. But we'll have to wait and see. And then the final part of the patch, the balance changes. Everyone's favorite thing. We're continuing our efforts to make all class builds feel fun and powerful with another round of balance updates. In particular, we have seen community feedback stating that basic skills aren't impactful enough in combat. These changes will not change the fundamental relationship between basic skills and core skills, but we hope that they will help smooth out the leveling experience while we explore additional ways to strengthen them. Good, I guess. Good statement, yeah. We're also increasing the power of some skills that players feel are lagging behind their peers. They didn't do a very good job of that, but yeah, I see. Okay, maybe they want to do more than just jack up some numbers, so hopefully that's what we're aiming for here, like sweeping changes to vulnerability, like a sorceress having to use Frost Nova. Every single one has to use it. So hopefully they can find a way to change that. As we look forward to future updates, we're monitoring other heavily discussed topics such as minion survivability and build parity. Please keep sending us your feedback, and we'll see you in Sanctuary. Will do, Blizzard. Yeah, I'll send you feedback. All right, so what did they actually change? So for Barbarian, basic skills here. Lunging Strike, 10% increase to its damage. Some people seem to think this is only a 3% increase. Nope, it's 10%. More Fury, great. More Fury, more Fortify, more base damage. Flay got really buffed, actually. So nice base damage increase, more Fury, and Enhanced Flay got a 50% increase. So that's fantastic. And then Double Swing, a pretty good base increase as well for that. So the key change here is that yes, basic abilities still suck. These aren't going to make your character a god, but you don't have to use them as much because you're generating more of your resource per swing, right? And those swings will feel a little bit better. Honestly, this is a really big change, all three of these together, but you're going to feel better about using a base ability, and I think that was the goal here. Will they need a little bit more? I think some of them are going to need more to them. These are your most basic of abilities. They don't cost you anything to use other than a click. It would be cool to have some builds that could just absolutely, like Bash, for example, that, Bash is my main killer somehow. That's going to take time to develop and not make sure you break the whole game and make it too easy, right? So great changes overall. Kick got a cooldown reduction. I wish it was even lower. And then base damage dealt was buffed. So remember, all this stuff scales with all your affixes and stuff, right? So it might seem like a small change, but it is scaling. Enhanced charges base damage dealt was doubled. The slow from Mighty Leap, I don't think people really give a shit about that. I kind of wish it was just a totally different thing. There's lots of skills like that where you choose a little choice and you don't even care. Doesn't change gameplay at all. Enhanced Iron Skin was doubled, so it's a pretty big shield now, 20%, not too bad. Prime Call the Ancients, bonus attack speed doubled, whatever. I'm not sure how much that really played into things. Iron Maelstrom though, big buffs. The cooldown was reduced a lot, and critical strike chance increased from 10 to 30%. Okay, so 200% increase. And then Prime Iron Maelstrom's bonus critical damage increased, doubled as well. So I'm pretty sure this thing now, with the right build, you can just tap the button and just kill everything on the screen. That's excellent. You can just blow up the screen, and then if you have enough cooldown reduction, maybe you can just find the next big pack of elites and blow up that screen. So this is really interesting now. I'm curious to see how that plays out. Moving down, Bounding Slam. I think that's the Barb's horse ability, like when you jump off your horse. So I mean, they buffed that, but it's okay. Who gives a shit about that? Nobody. So I main a Druid. If you've seen any of my videos, I play a Druid. I'm almost 100, but basically I've been using the Pulverize Storm Strike build for forever. I don't even bother to change to something else. I know there's other better builds with Stormclaw and stuff like that, but I mean, I just smash every elite I see. I go at a good pace. I don't feel the need to deal with the headache of trying new builds and dealing with all the aspects and finding the items and re-rolling all the Paragons. So I'll get to 100, and then I want to start exploring builds that are garbage. I don't want to play the overpowered shit that's even more boring. I want to try and make something that's, you know, universally considered bad and try and make it good. So that'll be my next project. But we've got some buffs here, not to Storm Strike, which is good. It doesn't need it. Earth Spike, again, more spirit generated, so you don't have to use this as much. This scales with, you know, things that generate spirit, right? All this will scale. The Fortify was doubled, which is cool. Wind Shear gives you 13 now spirit. Claw they buffed, even though it was already okay, but they buffed Claw a lot. Maul they buffed, which probably needed it. I don't think anyone really uses it. This is a really interesting change for Lightning Storm. The duration increased from 4 to 6 seconds, and its chance to immobilize, which is key, because this can trigger all kinds of bonus damage and stuff as well. So that was increased by 50%. I really want to try a Lightning Storm based, like, companion Druid. I don't want to shapeshift. I want to be in human form the entire time and have my companions kill stuff, and I want to use Lightning Storm. That's the goal. So I'm going to be examining that and seeing how much I can get out of that. Shred they buffed, and it's like they don't even realize that this ability is murdering already. So now it's really murdering. They buffed the crap out of Shred. The Wolves cooldown reduced from 14 to 11 seconds. Okay, that's good. Lucky hit chance increased from 10 to 40%. So way more lucky hits from this. That also is kind of an interesting mechanic. This you can obviously get to the 11 seconds down to really low with cooldown reduction. I would have loved to see a change to Ravens. I think Ravens are terrible. Base damage of Hurricane went up significantly. Base poisoning went up significantly on Rabies. Cataclysm went up quite a bit. Lacerate got a nice little chunk there. Petrify, Pummel is the Druid jumping off the horse attack. So no one really gives a rat's ass about that either. But overall, there's some changes here where maybe something will come of it. The meta dominant builds are probably still going to dominate. But now at least we have a little bit more we can play with, right? I'll speed through some of the other classes here a little bit quicker since I don't play them. But the Necromancer got all their base skills buffed. Bloodlance, whatever, no one uses it. Bone Prison, the cooldown reduced from 20 to 18 seconds. I honestly feel like this should have been like 12 seconds. Yeah, Bone Prison I don't like. I think it's bad. The big one, Raised Skeleton and Golem minions will now always engage targets with a cast curse. Don't quite know what they mean by that. If you cast a curse, so you can open with a curse, your minions will run in, then you can start firing off your bone spears or whatever you're using. One change I really hope to see for Druid and Necromancer is that minions engage quicker. Like they get to their targets quicker and start using attacks quicker. Moving into Necro Passives, this is whatever, that's fine. It's a good little change. Rathman's Vigor, this is a good change as well. You know, this is kind of the other part of this passive is you get max health. So it was boring as shit and you had to wait 15 seconds to actually see your ability work. So this 12-second change is nice. I think they could go to like 8 seconds and it would still be fine. But anyway, Thorns Necros get a nice little buff here to spiked armor. Their base thorns will go up. So overall, some good changes to the Necromancer. Nothing crazy, but you know, good quality of life. Maybe you can try some different base skills. They honestly just need to fix the vulnerability reliance that this whole game has right now. Make every ability proc vulnerability or something. Then either get rid of it or make everything do it. Because if you don't have that in your build, you're missing out, right? So they need to fix that. As for rogues, just a bunch of base damage increases just to make things feel better. They seem to just stick with 10% across the board mostly. So not bad for the rogue. Just a bunch of increases basically. Nothing crazy going on there. Probably the least affected class. And then we move on to Sorcerer, who needs a lot of help apparently. There's basically Ice Shards and that's it. Ice Shards or Blizzard or something to do with that. But Frost Nova is needed. Ice Armor's needed. Teleport's needed. Like these guys have to use like the same damn skills pretty much. So they buffed the base damage of Spark and the enhanced Spark and Flickering Spark. I don't think this is enough to matter. Frostbolt base damage got a little chunk. Firebolt, great, 10%. Charge Bolt, Yeah, no one cares. It's Incinerate. It's probably one of the worst abilities in the game. They're trying here, but this doesn't really accomplish much at all. Base damage increase, cool. Enhanced Incinerate, cool. And then greater Incinerate, immobilize requirement reduced. They need to do way more than this. It's this ability, you can stand still and die is basically what they should call it. So much more work to do here. Fireball, mana cost decrease from 40 to 35. Still feels bad. Frozen Orb, I'm curious to try this now. So they've raised the base damage, the explosion base damage, and then greater Frozen Orb chance to apply invulnerable increased as well. I'm interested to try Frozen Orb just because, you know, from Diablo 2 it was so popular. I want it to be good, and Ice Shards is so boring. So, you know, maybe I'll try and mess with this at some point as well now that it's a little bit better. Ice Blades needs way more work than just this. Lightning Spear also does. No big major changes here, just, again, small, safe, quality of life-ish changes that they made. Sorcerer needs some help because they're stuck in one build pretty much, and they didn't get it here. But it's a start, and hopefully Blizzard works on some more. But I mean, that's it for the first patch. Now, was it enough to keep you playing? Are you going to try any new builds? I mean, obviously everyone likes the Nightmare Teleport thing and the fact that dungeons give more experience, but is it enough to keep you playing and keep you grinding to level 100? Did you even get to the end of this video? Let me know what you guys think about the patch. Let me know what you think about the video. Thank you so much for watching, and take care, everybody.